Hello, thank you for tuning into this video. If you have, today I'm here to talk about three things and how they relate to each other and how they relate to who we are as people. And those three things are politics, privilege, and ignorance. So, to start, I guess we should talk about each individual thing and then get into what I actually want to talk about. Politics is, disagreement and, views and beliefs and how those clash with each other. And in modern day, a lot of politics come down to who people think should have rights and who shouldn't. It's not all politics, but most of the time, I would say that it is. Maybe that's a bad way to word it, but politics are important. They affect all of us. They affect who we are as people. They affect what we're able to do and how we're able to interact with the world. Without politics, I wouldn't have any rights as a woman, as a trans person, as a gay human being. There are a lot of things that affect us on a political level. And privilege is something that is gained through politics. You get privilege, and privilege allows you to be cozy and comfy and ignore bad things going on because they don't affect you. You have the privilege of not being affected by politics. And ignorance allows you, it's in the name, to ignore problems and ignore things for the sake of getting what you want, right? So these three things kind of play into each other in a lot of aspects because politics are important. It's what we use to communicate with each other and tell each other what we think is right or wrong, to reach a conclusion on what we think we should be as a society and how we should treat each other. And when you choose to not engage in politics, you're choosing to not have your voice heard, to not be a part of that discussion about how people should be treated. When you do that, you're choosing to say that what the status quo is okay, and you're okay with what's going on. When you choose to think that politics are something you shouldn't care about and something that you shouldn't worry about, you're choosing to let things continue to be. And that almost always comes from a place of privilege, right? Privilege is what empowers you to not care about politics. Privilege gives you this power to say that I'm cozy and comfy in my life, so I don't need to care about children being bombed in Iran and children being killed in Palestine and Israel, and I don't need to care about the homeless guy who's on the fucking corner block because I'm privileged, right? I wouldn't have this platform to speak on if I didn't have privilege, right? And a lot of people have privilege, and choosing to do nothing with that privilege just helps, just makes politics worse, because you're just letting what's happening right now go. When you ignore politics, when you use your privilege to ignore what's going on, you're saying that this society is okay. This society that's been made for cis, heterosexual, white men is okay. You're saying that that's okay, we can let that be. And if you're not all of those things, eventually it's going to hurt you. Whether you have the privilege to ignore it now, you won't later. Doing nothing just leads to you losing more, because as we go along, it's going to become harder for anyone that doesn't fit that description, until all that's left is people who fit that description. And that doesn't mean that things are going to be good once everyone who's left to like be political fit that description, because then it's just going to keep adding on. That list is just going to keep getting longer. Are you a cis heterosexual white man who's Christian and has children and is in college and working and providing for the economy, and are you a good wage slave? Like, it's never gonna keep being inclusive if you choose to do nothing. You know, when you choose nothing, you're letting the status quo keep going. You're choosing to ignore current problems so that you can be comfortable. And that shit's despicable. I meet a lot of people. I live near like a college campus, and so I end up meeting a lot of college kids from different walks of life, and a lot, like, you meet a lot of people who are just like, oh, I just don't want to care about politics. It's not going to affect me, and I only can care about myself right now. And like, it's only not going to affect you for so long, you know? It will. Eventually you will be the person being affected by it, whether it's now or later. And so choosing to do nothing now is just hurting more people, you know? And it's sad, because I hate that I feel like I have to say that. I feel like it's horrible that I have to tell people this affects you too in order to get people to want to change and do better. It's horrible that you have to explain that to people, that you have to explain it to them in such like dense words that like I can't make you care about other people, you know? I can't make you care about other people, but I hope you care enough about yourself to do what's right, you know? But it sucks. Like, it does. It feels like when I'm friends with someone, when I'm close to someone, and then they're like, I just don't want to care about politics. It just feels like you're spitting in my face almost. It's like, what? And it's even crazier when it's coming from people who are in the same position I am. Whether it's like other trans people who are also trying to like, oh, I don't really want to engage in politics. Like, shit's rough, I know, but also it's affecting us too. You know, we are losing rights in lots of states here alone, and that's just here in the States. And like, there are plenty of places where we still just never had rights in the first place across the world, and we aren't even like the worst of it, you know? I still have privileges even though I am a trans woman. I'm white. I live in America. I have a lot of opportunities that people don't. And if I sat here and just went, well, I'm doing pretty okay, so I shouldn't care about politics, like, it would make things worse for me. Like, I have this privilege, and if I don't use that privilege to do what's right and advocate for these things that I care about, then why have it at all, you know? It's upsetting. It's just genuinely upsetting. And it kind of gets hard, because it's like, I don't want to lose my friends, you know? I don't like the idea of just like not being friends with someone because they choose to not engage in politics. It's not necessarily like that's how I go about things, but like, you can only try so hard. Like, I keep friends, and I'll try to convince them that like there are things worth caring about, and like sometimes I can get through to someone and they can start to put on like the right path and like actually like care about something and do something. But I mean, I'd be lying if I said that that was always the case, you know? It's not easy. It's never going to be easy. But doing the right thing is never easy, you know? And sometimes it can be easy, but you have to ask yourself at some point, though, is it easy because, like, it's supposed to be, or is it easy because this is the easy way out, you know? And choosing not to care, it's just so ignorant. It's so ignorant to choose not to care, to choose that that's not what you want to care about or talk about. Like, it's not like we have to talk about this 24/7. Like, God forbid, I would never, like, if it was constantly all day, I could never either. But like, it is always happening, And right now especially, things are just way worse than they have been. Or I guess things have been bad for a while, but they just keep getting worse. Just because things have been bad for a long time does not mean that they can't get worse. And just because they've been bad for a long time doesn't mean that we shouldn't care about not trying to do better. You know? When you choose to not want better for things, when you choose to not care about politics, you're choosing to let the current status quo win. And fuck that. 100%. And I know maybe it's not the easiest to understand, and I know maybe I'm not explaining things the best way. It's not like I'm some super educated schmuck who knows everything they're talking about. I'm just some silly girl who has a lot on her mind and just wants to put that noise out into the world and talk about it. You know, maybe you don't understand, maybe you don't agree. Let's talk about it. You know, say something in the comments. Don't be rude, don't be disrespectful, and let's have a conversation. You know, I'd rather have a conversation and try to do good than to not care and do nothing. And so that's why I wanted to talk about these things. That's why I wanted to talk about how politics are important, about how privilege is something that you have to use to advocate. And if you choose not to use your privilege, if you choose to use that instead to just be cozy and fine, you have to understand that you are letting these problems happen. You are okay with these problems happening. When you see innocent people being murdered and you aren't saying anything, you have to recognize that are you doing something wrong? Are you just letting things happen? Are you not using your voice? You know, it's why we have it. I mean, I hope that most people want to be heard. Because, like, it's what we are. We're human. We communicate. We want each other to understand. We should want each other to be happy. And it's ridiculous. World fucking sucks. But all we have is each other. And so, like, choosing not to care about each other is just a choice that doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. Look at my cat. Look at him. He's cozy and laying there and he's happy. He's privileged. Look at his white ass. He doesn't have to care about anything. He doesn't have to pay rent. But he's a cat. He uses his voice all the time. He's like, meow, meow. Look, he even moved a little bit. So if Butterscotch can use his voice, you can too. Thank you for coming here, and fuck ICE, fuck the IDF, free Palestine, trans rights. I love you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow for No Nerd Game Sunday. And I hope that if you feel hurt by something I've said in this video, you can reflect on that maybe, and let's talk about it. Say something. I'd love to try and have a conversation and actually, like, talk to people and do something, because I'm so tired of people not doing anything. And I'm just one person in a sea of millions, if not billions of people who want to talk about these things, who want to do better. So let's do that together. Thank you, and have a good day.